Hello everyone and welcome to another video review from 3dgameman.com. I'm Rodney Reynolds and today I'm having a look at the Thermaltake Core X31 case. Now this is a sub $100 mid-tower case that looks pretty darn spectacular. Clean lines, comes with a window, lots of space to work on the inside, and you can install plenty of drives, water cooling support, the list goes on and on. Let's have a closer look. The box is fairly plain, but it does have pictures as well as features and specifications about the product on it. And it's packaged well between two pieces of styrofoam, and the case itself is in a plastic bag. Included is a user's manual, warranty information, and a bag that has a speaker and all the materials needed for installing the hardware plus plastic cable ties. Now the overall styling on this case is rather simple. Build quality is not too bad. It's mainly comprised of steel and plastic with some mesh. It measures in at 497 by 250 by 511 millimeters, and as you can clearly see, it is rather wide. That's good and bad. Good if you want to fit a lot of gear on the inside and you don't want to go to a full tower case. Bad if you're looking for a narrow case, maybe you're limited on space. And it weighs in at 8.5 kilograms. Okay, so let's fly around this case. On the left side panel, there's a very large window. At the top, they include a removable magnetic dust filter. And while they do not include any fans up here, you can install up to two 200 millimeter or up to three 120s or up to three 140 millimeter fans. And optionally, you can fit a radiator that is up to 360 millimeters in length. Also at the top are the audio jacks, reset button, hard drive activity LED, power button, as well as 4 USB ports. 2 of them are USB 3 and 2 are USB 2. Now the front is all mesh, so lots of ventilation. They do include 2 5¼ inch drive bays, and at the bottom here is their Thermaltake logo. To remove the front panel, pull at the bottom. This reveals a removable dust filter. They also have dust filters in the 5¼ inch drive bay covers. Now they include a 120 millimeter exhaust fan, but optionally you can install up to 2 120s, 2 140s, or 1 200 millimeter fan in this section as well. You can fit up to a 280 millimeter radiator in this area. However, if you remove the 5¼ inch drive bay cage, you can fit a radiator that's up to 360 millimeters in length. Now, while the left panel has a beautiful large window, the right side panel is plain. At the back of the case, they also include a 120 millimeter fan, but this one exhausts air. And note the grooved or slotted screw holes. That's very convenient because it will give you some extra flexibility when installing fans or radiators, and this is throughout the case. And speaking of rads, you can fit a radiator that is up to 140 millimeters here. Here's where you install the motherboard's I/O shield plate. There are 8 ventilated expansion slots, extra ventilation, as well as a single rubber ground-mounted hole, like for example for routing water cooling tubes through. And they have this security loop here. You take this off from the inside. There's a single screw here. You can put your, for example, keyboard and mouse cables through here. They will be secure, perfect if you are at a LAN party. At the bottom is where you install a standard ATX power supply, and by the way, they do have rubber feet for the power supply to lodge on. And there are 4 thumb screws, 2 on each side panel. This case fits mini ITX, micro ATX, and standard ATX form factor motherboards. As you can see, they do have a large hole on the motherboard tray for the cooler's retention plate, plus plenty of rubber ground-mounted holes for routing cables through. Get those cables out of the main part of the case, tuck them behind the motherboard tray. That will increase airflow inside the case, and plus this case has a window, so you don't want to see all those godly cables. Now speaking of cables, they have this power supply shroud here, and note that they have a rubber ground-mounted hole in the top of that as well. This will hide all of the cables that's down here, plus the power supply. Now, as I mentioned before, there are 2 5¼ inch drive bays. These can be removed if need be, and they do have a toolless design. Now, you can fit up to 3 2.5 inch or up to 3 3.5 inch drives in this drive bay cage. And by the way, this can be completely removed as well. And have a look at these plastic drive rails. If you want to install a 3.5 inch drive, you simply lodge it in like so. No screws are required, but if you are installing a 2.5 inch drive, you will need to use screws. Now, speaking of 2.5 inch drives, you can install 2 more 2.5 inch drives here. You just need to remove this panel or bracket install the drive on it, and then put it back into place. Now let's go through the video card and power supply lengths along with the CPU cooler height. You can fit a video card that is up to 420 millimeters in length as long as you do not have a hard drive cage installed. If you do have one installed though, you can fit a video card that is up to 278 millimeters in length. As for power supply length, if you have a fan installed on the bottom, you can fit a power supply that is up to 180 millimeters in length. However, if you don't have a fan installed on the bottom, you can fit a power supply that is up to 220 millimeters in length. As for CPU cooler height, you can fit one that is up to 180 millimeters in height. And there's thumb screws on all of the expansion slots. And while I'm back here, have a look at the fan lead. It is sleeved and comes with a 3-pin connector, and the front fan is the same. On the back of the motherboard tray, there's plenty of punch outs to organize the cables, and again, note these rubber grommeted holes to route the cables through. And you don't have to worry about being cramped back here because there's plenty of space. As well, if you want to, you can install up to 3 2.5-inch or 3 3.5-inch drives back here. At the bottom are 4 rubber feet, and thankfully they are rather tall. That's good because it will allow the bottom fans to intake air. As well, at the bottom they include a large removable dust filter. Honestly, this is a near perfect case, or at least as perfect as you can expect for a case that's around $100 because the feature list is long, it looks good, and has decent build quality. So if you are in the market for a rather large mid-tower case that you can fit a ton of hardware on the inside and it looks sharp, plus it's not going to break the bank, well, this just might be it. Overall, this is a 100% kick-ass product. Until next time, take care. Well, that's it, but I hope you enjoyed the review. And if you think this and other videos that I produce are great, please like them, share, and subscribe to the channel. Also, your comments are very welcome. And if you have any questions, let me know.